Hi class, so I'm back with the pinch mug that I started earlier, and I'm going to show you another way to put on a handle, or how to make a handle. So I'm going to roll the clay in my hand, which I've got kind of formed as a V, and that's going to give me a tapered bottom and a more, little bit larger top. And then I'm going to cut it and create an angle. And what that's going to do is, when I attach it onto my mug, it's going to allow it to kind of start as an arch. I'm going to set this down temporarily, and I'm going to make some score marks here. One thing I should have mentioned, first of all, is that this needs to be leather hard. That means I can move clay on the surface like I just did, but that this clay doesn't really accept fingerprints anymore. And I have a bucket next to me, and that's another thing I should have mentioned about your tools, is that you need to provide your own, maybe a old yogurt container or something that you can use as your bucket. And I just have water in there, and that's where I put all my scraps. Eventually, you will end up with some slip in there, but for now, I just made slip right on the surface, and that's just like liquid clay. Now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to attach it on firmly, and I'm going to connect it on. The scratching you're hearing in the video is my evil Boston Terrier trying to get out in my studio by me because he has become spoiled with me being home. Maybe we'll let him in at the end so he can terrorize my studio. So right now you can see that that's aiming up. Now I'm going to move my water up, and I'm going to do something called pulling a handle. And what I'm doing really is moving the clay using water in this like cavity here, kind of like milking a cow. That's what my students say. What's nice is they're not here in person to make fun. So now when I turn this on its side, it makes that almost perfect shape of a handle all on its own, and I don't even have a chance to wreck it. So it's another way of making a handle. It does take practice. So I'd say if you make 2 mugs, use one of them as a practice mug for this. And then also kind of come back in and make sure that it's straight. I'm going to add a little slip into that cavity down here just because it's a little sharp for my taste. All right. And, I'm going to, right here, just bend that up a little bit. And that's going to give me a nice position for my hand. My bigger finger's up here, smaller down here. Now, normally, I would let this set up for a little bit. But today, I want to show you about your carving tools. Remember, you have to carve a design into this project. So I'm getting out the 2 carving tools. This one is shaped like a triangle, and this one is shaped like a circle. And I want you to find at least 3 designs that you're going to post on D2L this week. And just so you know what kind of designs you're trying to create. I have this cool rolling pin I bought online that has some interesting little flower shapes that I could carve in if I wanted to do something like that, or anything pretty much could go, but you are going to have carving as a major part of this. Today I just want to show you how to use these, and I think maybe I'll just start with an oval shape, like egg shape maybe. And so I'm using this almost like a pencil. If you're nervous at first, it doesn't hurt to get out an actual pencil and kind of sketch it on first. And so the great part about these tools is that it removes clay. You can see the little pieces that are coming off. I suggest, working on top of that canvas because it will make a mess. And you can create a pattern of your own just by repeating. And when it's leather hard, it doesn't stick to itself, it comes off really neatly, and it is the best time to carve, to add a handle. Now, I can continue this. I'm going to leave a little space maybe or create maybe an extra oval in here. Almost like a chain, I suppose. And this could have some sharp edges, so eventually I'll come back in once it sets up a bit more, it's a little drier, with one of our brushes and maybe brush some of that away. You can see those little pieces I call clay boogers right there. And then I can come back in and do this again. And if I just keep repeating this around the pot, then I've created a pattern. Now, if I come back in with this circular one, if I just hold it in one spot and turn it, it's going to make like a little round divot, like that. So these tools, they're pretty versatile. The only thing you really need to be careful of is making sure you don't go too thin. And the thickness of your pot is really going to depend on that. It really helps to have your hand on the inside. For many people, I know this one is thick enough to allow because I made it purposely like that. But I can feel if it gets a little thin if my hand is on the inside. And again, I just repeat. Now, another fun thing, if it still feels a little heavy and you want to get in there and do some more interesting things, is you could hold this on its side and remove the clay between. And what that's going to do is it's going to make these parts stick up. So what we're doing is removing the negative space. That's the space around the design. And that's kind of a fun thing to do as well. It just really depends on what your interest is. But this is a huge part of your grade, so take it seriously. Think about patterns. Think about what you want to create on your mug, and really know your thickness so you don't go too far. And if it gets a little, I like the texture because it looks a little bit like printmaking, like maybe like a woodcut. But if you don't like that texture, just slowly remove that clay. All right, so that's what you'll be doing, except all the way around, creating an interesting design on your pinch pot that is going to work well with the two glaze options I've given you. So do look at those on the PowerPoint. Thank you.